Hello, thrash maniacs and headbangers, prog metal bastards and funeral doom sweethearts. My name is Goniloc, and today I'm going to be walking you through my top albums, or I should say releases, in heavy metal of the year 2017. So let's just hop right into it, why don't we? Let's start off with an album that got a lot of hype online. This is Tomb Mold's Primeval Monogamy. It is a great album. It would be my album of the year for 2018 as well, but unfortunately Tomb Mold is too old to qualify, if you get what I'm saying there. Where's the Goat? Awesome bestial black metal or war metal or whatever the hell. This album is on the slower side for bestial black, and the riffing tends to get a bit repetitive, but they're good riffs, so it's okay. It's not that big a problem. It's obviously influenced by Archgoat, and I don't just say that because the band is called Where Goat. I say that because they literally have a track called Archgoat on this album. Not a particularly good track, but it's there. Now, I know what you're saying. Goniloc, why are you showing these obscene boobs on my screen? Oh, jeez, oh gosh, let's get out of here, gang. Queer, oh shit, the boobo detector is going off the charts. We gotta speed through this one, ladies and gentlemen. Queer is tasty Hellenic black metal that is quite possibly my favorite release from the band to date. Ta-ta, Queer. If I were to tell you, now, that I hid some treasure below an organized group of criminals, you could technically say that it was buried Undergang. That joke doesn't work if you pronounce it properly, which is Undergang, but nevertheless, this is some funky, filthy death metal. Let me tell you, ladybugs and gentle kids, you could slap that opening track into any disco bar and it would be right at home amongst the ranks of ABBA and Kate Bush, and I don't know a lot of disco artists. Ritual Knife. Now we're talking, honey. This is quite possibly my overall album of the year. Even though I don't like ranking albums numerically, this just barely beat out Tomb Mold for my most listened to new release, and it is a big old bag of blackened punk fun. It's available through Fallen Empire. What's that? What? You don't know Fallen Empire? The label that has the villain from Disney's Fantasia? White Death. Awesome finished black metal. Memorable riffs from start to finish, and it works well as a full album, but the tracks are also distinct enough to listen to piece by piece, so if you're more of a shuffle listener, then first of all, you're a degenerate, but more importantly, White Death's debut album will still float your boat. Also, they may or may not be Nazis. I'm not too sure about that actually, but at least they don't have disgusting boobs on the cover. Black Kool-Aid. This is as raw as it gets, my friend. That's not true, actually, but it is tastefully abrasive and melancholic, and it's perfect for those slow, chilly winter nights when all you have to do is sip on a glass of tap water and watch the ants in your ant farm go stark raving mad. Graveflowers. I could listen for hours. I like raw black metal, what can I say? This is from Path of Silence, one of the best cassette tape labels in the business because they give you fun little trinkets with every cassette tape, and the cassettes themselves are made very well. They come with fun booklets and whatnot. At least the Graveflowers one did. I have Cloak and Dagger as well, that didn't come with a booklet. But I digress. This release is like if you played depressive suicidal black metal through a World War I radio, which has always been a fantasy of mine, so it's very nice to have something catering to me personally. Hell, with their album Hell. I promise you that the music is not as bland as the name. But this is the best you're going to get if you want 2017 funeral doom and or sludge, because Loss and Bellwitch were both good. Meanwhile, Hell was great. There. Someone had to say it. Entrails. Cookie cutter Swedish death metal. Is that a bad thing? No. Paganizer. Cookie cutter Swedish death metal. Is that a bad thing? No. Artificial Bread. This album has some of the coolest song names I've ever heard. And cool music to boot. It's very ominous, claustrophobic death metal with kind of a sci-fi kick to it. Strongly recommended overall. Lilia. This is a demo, but it's delicious. Once again, very abrasive black metal. You may be noticing a theme here, and I think this one also qualifies as depressive suicidal black metal. But either way, it's good. Kind of like Life Lover. But better. Chaos Invocation and Thy Darkened Shade star in Legged Snake Meets the Golden Boy, The Wizards. If you've ever wondered what Danzig would sound like if he didn't suck and had a Spanish accent, then boy do I have a release for you. Satan Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. Female vocals in trad? red and black cover art? Gee willikers, this has got a real rock and roll attitude, and it's fast-paced and fun, while still being dark enough to be cool. Now, there you are, ladies and gentlemen, there are my top albums of the year, but now we're just going to go to the top albums. You might also call this the honorable mentions section. These are albums that were good, but they are not the cream of the crop, so to speak. Bellwitch. Well, bitch, this album is nice, but it's just so long, and the fact that it's one single song in its entirety makes it inaccessible, quite frankly. Even as a self-proclaimed funeral princess, I love my funeral doom, but I just don't see myself revisiting Mirror Reaper often at all, if ever. I'm sure I'll come back to it at some point. Pelorian is a darker, more blackened approach to the sound defined by John Holland's previous band, Goniloc. The album marks an exciting deviation from the folkier discography that Goniloc offers, and while it's not without flaws, it still shows a lot of promise for this project going forward, and leaves behind several extremely memorable tracks with their debut, namely Dark is the River of Man and Forged Iron Crucibles. Yellow Eyes. Stupid! I guess all the other symptoms of jaundice were already taken for band names. Bear Mace released their debut album, Butchering the Cauliflower, and it's nice mid-paced death metal with a gurgly vocalist. It doesn't stand out too much, but it's worth a listen anyway. Aralu, some folky black metal coming straight out of Israel. This album is called 6, so I give it 6 thumbs up. Good work, Israeli musicians. Keep up the good work. Black Dahlia Murder. Great album. It is definitely on par with Nocturnal. I would put this in my top albums of the year, but that would make me a poser, so instead it's just an honorable mention. Narcotic Wasteland. This is Dallas Totalitarianism's new project. He's the old boy from Nile. This sounds like a more grindcore-leaning approach to the Nile sound, the later Nile album phase sound. It's good. It is very good. But the subject matter is all about anti-drug abuse, which is a good message, and it is handled very creatively, and the lyrics are written well, but it's definitely not as cool as the Egyptian theme he had going on earlier. It's still very solid death metal, nevertheless, but, Alright, well, there you have it, folks. There are my top albums of the year, and my top albums of the year. I could give you just my albums of the year, but that is a very long list, because that includes every single album that released in 2017, regardless of genre, and I'm not going to make a video on that. So, take what you can get, and thank you for watching. I'm Goniloc. Stay tuned for more garbage. I love dust.